Just as I said, everybody, I'm back. Ronald Haynie's here to read chapter 1 from my novel, Duppy, You Reap What You Sow. Okay, I'm back to read that to you. It's just like how I told you in the last video. Um, Before I even get started with this read, like this video, keep subscribing, subscribe to this video, like and share this video, especially if you're a voracious reader. Yeah, this novel I'm influenced by Donald Goines, William Peter Blatty, oh man, Stephen King, Dean Koontz. We can go way back with Henry Farrell, Zora Neale Hurston, and amongst others, and Walter Dean Myers, etc. It'll all be inside the book, who my influences are. But right about now, let's get this read popping. This is going to be from out of chapter 1, Duppy, You Reap What You Sow. So now, and ways to get this book is in the description box. Okay, so it's on Amazon. Check out the reviews for a quickest. If you would like an autographed copy from me, you already know what to do. Cash App, $RONNBYLLZE. That is Cash App, $RONNBYLLZE. $25 for postage and handling. And make sure to put your full address in the notes so I know where to send your signed copy. Other than that, the book is on Amazon, and by all means, shop Amazon. So here we go. Duppy, You Reap What You Sow, out of chapter 1. This is just an excerpt. The day is Friday, June the 23rd, 1978. Outside, the sun began to vengefully beam on the Harlem skyline, while inside, he continued from the living room into his kitchen, frowning the moment he opened the refrigerator door. Al fixed his overturned pots and pans filled with leftovers, relieved after receiving a blast of cool air. He reluctantly closed the door, longing for the frost of winter, and began preparing breakfast, mumbling to himself, ain't no need in me wanting it to be winter time, because we ain't going to have no heat or no hot water none of the time. That old baby Al, he done went in that Frigidaire last night, messing with my neck bones. Messing with my neck bones and kidney beans and whatnot, knocking all my stuff over. That rascal ain't got a bit of sense. He dutifully started the meal of grits, scrambled eggs, and sausage, a pan of water for coffee, mood changing from somber to cheery the moment he thought of the agenda that lay ahead for himself and his grandson. Whistling as he whisked the eggs, Al eyed the clock on the greasy-covered beige kitchen wall. He turned away and poured the beaten eggs into the frying pan. Time for baby Al to be getting up. Today's his big day. That rascal should have been up on his own by now. I know he ain't going to hear me yelling, so I'm going to get on with this food. When I'm done, I'll get him up. I'm hungry as a hog, he thought, adding additional stirs to the pot filled with grits. Al's nickname for Dwayne was Baby Al, a name he had grown attached to since Dwayne was a toddler. In spite of the circumstances that plagued him over the years, a mild stroke that had made his left side paralyzed from the thigh down, with his left hand frozen in a clawed fist, Al managed to whip the breakfast into shape within a matter of minutes. He fixed their plates of food with tall glasses of orange juice, with Maxwell House instant coffee for himself, giving a second glance at the clock in the kitchen. Then hearing the time announced from the radio, 8:15 a.m., Al limped from the kitchen through the living room and down the long hallway to tap on Dwayne's bedroom door. With each dragging footstep into the darkened corridor, he became more anxious to wake up his grandson. Dwayne was set to graduate from junior high school within 2 hours. The hallway became brighter the closer Al came to the bedrooms. He gently tapped on Dwayne's open door. "Baby Al, time to get up." Feeling the urge to urinate again, he quickly limped back into the bathroom, which was nestled between his bedroom and Dwayne's room. Once he finished, Al peeked into his room, frowning at his unmade bed, the overturned cup he never retrieved from kicking it over, and his ancient furnishings that needed replacement. The curtains stood still and were baking. No type of wind in the outside air, and the heat of the summer steadily approached. A second 13-inch black and white television sat on top of Al's long bedroom dresser with connected mirrors. Next to the TV sat a framed 8x10 family portrait of Al and his deceased wife, Maddie, with her arms around Dwayne as a youngster. "My food's getting cold, I reckon," Al thought, proceeding back towards the living room. He noticed no movement going on in Dwayne's room, so he banged hard the second time. "Baby Al, get up in there, boy. Your food's on the table." With this last comment, Al continued on to the living room, stopping with sudden pain. So busy thinking about this rascal and his graduation, I forgot to take my pill. Feel like this body of mine is getting worse. Like I can't even walk without them pills no more. The drag, the limp, and Claw was almost 4 years old after his mild stroke he had suffered attending his beloved wife's funeral, prolonging her burial. At the funeral, the entire left side of his body went dead, and he fell to the floor right in front of his wife's casket. His bereaved grandson had run frantically through the chapel, unable to be contained. During Maddie Mae Brown Carter's homegoing recessional in the post-Christmas pre-New Year afternoon, Al was rushed to North General Hospital with a stroke on the right side of his brain. He was eventually discharged from the hospital to bury his wife and then spent weeks in therapy grieving the love of his life, a relationship with Maddie for 30 years, who passed away on Christmas Eve. His Detroit relatives and a few of Maddie's relatives offered to help raise Dwayne, and Al came to the firm decision of taking care of his grandson on his own. He decided that Dwayne was his one true link to the loving family he created and once had. Winnie had been gone for so long, and now Maddie Mae was no more. Everything with life and its speed had happened so fast. He never felt they were goodbyes. He could never feel them, could never say them. Maddie and Gwynnie still existed in his spirit, his mind, and all over his body. He sat down at the dining room table, shooing the flies away from his breakfast. The table was against the wall, next to the open doorway of the tiny kitchen, across from the stereo set and TV in a caddy direction. The stereo was against the wall that had the window leading to the alleyway, the same alleyway outside the bathroom window and Dwayne's bedroom window. Next to the stereo, up in the corner against the wall, was an antique wrought iron 3-tiered unit filled with framed photos and potted plants, purchased during the 50s. A small ancient sofa was opposite the stereo, TV, and unit along the opposite wall that extended down the entire hallway of the apartment. "Hey, baby Al bellowed after noticing a few greenback flies congregating over his grandson's plate of food at the other end of the table. He chased them away and began eating, savoring each bite of eggs and sausage, fondly remembering the days he spent as the top chef at a counter restaurant inside a prestigious department store. He had been the first Black employee in the entire store, starting out in the late 40s, post-war, post-shoe shining. He became the top chef and held on to that position dutifully. After being forced into retirement with his condition for nearly 4 years, Al became bored, feeling the wrath of age. He was no longer a strong, sturdy, well-poised, caramel-colored man everyone knew, towering over 6 feet. He had shrunk to 5 foot 10 inches with a weight of 160. His afro became totally gray, bigger, and thicker. Some of the kids from the block like to call him the Jackson 5 grandfather. He permanently used the walking cane in public after his stroke, yet he vowed to carry out his mission to continue raising the grandson he loved into a fine, strong man. After losing Maddie and refusing the outside help from anyone, including his out-of-town relatives, Al assumed total responsibility of the house, the cooking, the cleaning, the washing, etc. It was rough in the beginning because of the stroke, but he managed with the encouragement of Jimmy Robinson and with the love of Arlene Montgomery, the only 2 friends of the family he trusted, who were Dwayne's godparents. Jimmy, Al's younger cooking protege, would send for Dwayne on occasional weekends and holidays from school to spend time with his wife and the Robinson family in Brooklyn. Arlene would visit when possible from the Bronx, dividing her time between family life and helping Mr. Carter manage with baby Al. Arlene had been close to the Carter family since the early 50s, becoming best friends with Gwenny Carter, Al and Maddie's daughter, while in elementary. A year older than Gwenny, she had become attached to the Carters while living with her aunt and uncle on the 2nd floor of the building. The 2 young girls would run up and down the stairs from the 5th floor to the 2nd, dividing time in between each other's homes. Wearing pigtails and bangs, the energetic youngsters baked cakes, played with their dolls and their doll houses, ruined Maddie's hairpins, combs, and rouge, practicing their grown-up makeup tricks. From jumping rope off and on all day to homework, to going to the movies around the corner, through all 4 seasons with all holidays, the loving girls planned to be best friends forever. The friendship lasted until the day Gwenny was expelled from college. Gwenny, returning home from being raped by a few male students, including her on-campus boyfriend, had become another person, lost in an unreachable depression after the campus prank. In a cruel twist of racism, a prank she was blamed for by the faculty, and she was pregnant as a result of this rape when abortions were illegal. Arlene tried to get through to her friend, but she was never the same again. Arlene vowed to be the best godmother to her girlfriend's baby, even coming up with a list of names for the infant. Gwenny never saw the boy child she produced, and her bond with her best friend Arlene was severed for life, with her last smile painfully fading into the existence of memory. Al finished his breakfast and coffee while his grandson's plate, complete with a hardening mound of grits with butter, scrambled eggs with sausage, was now cold, and the orange juice lukewarm with no Dwayne. Rising to his feet, Al took his plate, mug, and glass into the kitchen. Well, baby Al getting his tail up right now, Al thought, popping some pills and drinking more orange juice. He began washing away his breakfast remains, still enjoying the news from the living room. Well. So they found a satellite in outer space by the planet Pluto. Lord have mercy, folk ain't got nothing else to do with their time and their money. He snapped out of his news-listening daydream the moment he heard the toilet flush. Bypassing the living room, Al entered the hallway with his 1-2 drag step, hearing the bathroom sink water running as he approached. Dwayne's room was open, bed unmade, and Al pushed open the already cracked bathroom door, sticking his head inside. Dwayne stood over the sink, brushing his teeth furiously. Morning, baby Al. Dwayne glared scornfully at Al, then at the mirror with his mouth filled with saliva and toothpaste. Spitting out his waste, he stated, "What's so good about it?" Then he began to rinse his mouth. "What's so good about it? The good Lord woke you up this morning, boy. He keeps you." Al grinned proudly, anticipating Dwayne's junior high graduating ceremony. His grandson stared back and smirked at his grandfather. "Oh, yeah? Yeah, well, good morning then. If that's how it is." He exited the bathroom, looking back at Al, giving off a hiss, a habitual noise when he made when he wanted to be cool, mean, or sarcastic. Al watched the grandson he raised walk into the living room. Dwayne was growing tall, standing at 5'7", wearing a size 9 in shoes and sneakers. People often mistook him for being Hispanic due to his light complexion, bushy eyebrows, and straight to curly hair. Winnie's forehead and chin rubbed off on Dwayne. However, Dwayne inherited his eyebrows, nose, eyes, ears, personality, and temper from Arnold Mucci. Arnold was killed during a race riot on the school grounds the same year President Johnson passed a law giving blacks the right to vote in the South, the summer after Winnie died giving birth. "This stuff for me?" Al could hear Dwayne attempt to turn up the living room's drab, low-volume, black and white TV that saw better days. In response to his grandson's question, coming up the hall, Al said, "Yeah, it is. Show took you long enough to get up. And turn that TV off, boy. Can't you hear I'm listening to the radio?" Dwayne turned off the television and plopped into his chair, fanned the flies, and took a long swallow of orange juice. His grandfather entered the room and held on to the unbalanced table. "Our refrigerator broke?" "No." "Why?" "'Cause the juice is hot." "Well, if you would have got up when I called you, it wouldn't be hot." Dwayne hissed, eating a forkful of eggs, then grimacing at the cold taste. "Dad, Pappy, why you let the food get cold like this, man? I can't eat this." Al gave his grandson a dirty look and exclaimed, "Huh? What you mean? You should have got up the first time when I called. I called you plenty. Baby Al, I called you a few times. I banged on the door." "Pappy, who you know in this world eat cold eggs?" Dwayne took a bite of the cool, hardened sausage. "Pappy, this is nasty. You losing your touch." Dwayne's comment hurt his grandfather's feelings. Al took his art of cooking very seriously, and he thought he had done well fixing breakfast for the umpteenth time. "Look, if it's that nasty, then don't eat it," Al snapped. Dwayne stared down at his cold plate of food. "But, Pappy, I'm gonna be hungry. I can't graduate on an empty stomach." "Give me your plate, baby Al." Al took the plate of food into the kitchen, huffing and puffing, placing it on the counter. And then he searched for the small tinfoil pan he used to heat food. Dwayne walked into the kitchen grinning. "All I want is some hot food. How would you like eating cold eggs and sausage?" "Yuck! And hard grits." Al struck a match to light the oven. Then he dumped the contents of the food into the pan. Then he placed his grandson's breakfast in the oven and shut the door. Even though he fussed with him, he hardly ever meant it. Dwayne had been a spoiled brat for so long, thanks to Maddie. Al felt that his rotten ways had to come to an end. He was too old to be a spoiled brat at 13 years old. "Well, next time you get up when I call you," Al stated while the oven heated facing his grandson. "Go get washed up. By the time you get dressed, the food will be hot. Now get." "Thanks, Pappy," Dwayne exclaimed, exiting the kitchen briskly. 15 minutes later, Al had reheated Dwayne's entire breakfast, and he set up the table nicely for the graduate. Al checked the clock again. Time surely was flying, and he was ready to get dressed. He yelled, "What the hell you doing, boy? Back there! Playing with your ding-a-ling, boy! Get out here! That's how the food got cold in the first place." He sat back down in his seat, wiping sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. "Hurry up, boy!" Inside the bathroom, Dwayne gave his beckoning grandfather the finger. "Shut up," he mumbled, stepping back to admire himself in his baby blue three-piece pinstripe church suit. He added his matching bow tie, then he licked his thumb tips and brushed his thick eyebrows with them. "Damn, my suit's the joint. I'm dressed to a T. I am the joint," he happily exclaimed. He was ready to take all the girls by storm, removing his suit jacket. Al wiped more sweat from his forehead, frowning the moment he noticed the food getting cold. Before he yelled again, he could hear the floor creaking, indicating his grandson was on his way up front. "Pappy, where's the juice?" he asked, entering the living room. "Oh, forget it. I can't remember everything. I'm thirsty. You know how hot it is? You need to buy us a new fan." Dwayne walked into the kitchen. Al became angry. "Baby Al, get in here and eat. You got to get to the schoolhouse." There was no answer from Dwayne. Al fell into another scolding mood. He stood, holding on to the table, dragged into the kitchen, suddenly taken aback, eyes burning with more anger. In plain sight, Dwayne stood with the refrigerator door open, head cocked back, drinking the ice-cold orange juice from the container. Al was livid, infuriated. Dwayne didn't even notice his grandfather watching. He continued to quench his thirst. "Baby Al!" Al shouted, startling Dwayne. Some of the juice went down Dwayne's windpipe, making him gasp and cough. And he, too, suddenly became angry, doing his best to catch his breath. Al started chastising. "Baby Al, where in the hell is your home training? You know better than that. Where's your glass? You ain't fix it. You right. You 13 years old, boy. You could at least fix your own glass of juice. I done did everything else. I can't believe my eyes. Drinking stuff out the refrigerator without a cup of glass. So, you want me to go upside your fool head, boy? Don't you backtalk me. Here?" They stared at each other. Al held the doorway of the kitchen because of the stroke, putting more weight on his right leg. Dwayne began to pout, noticing his grandfather was still wearing pajama trousers only. "Don't just stand there and get dressed," he hollered at Al. "Ain't gonna be no graduation this morning, baby Al, if you go on with this mess. I'm getting old, man. I can't take it," he fired back. "Pappy," Dwayne whined, "it's my house, boy. Here, it's been my house since 1936, and what I say go." Dwayne hissed and looked at the ceiling while Al continued. "Don't you ever let me catch you drinking from that refrigerator without a cup or a glass ever again. And don't you ever back talk me no more. Here? Huh?" "I'm leaving, Pappy. Dwayne glanced at the kitchen clock. "It's almost 9:30, and I got to get ready to line up. If you ain't coming to see me graduate, then don't come." Young Dwayne stormed past his grandfather, leaving the refrigerator open and the juice on top of the washing machine. Al let go of the wall and limped after him. Dwayne gathered his wrapped graduation cap and gown with suit jacket inside his room. "Baby Al, wait a minute," Al yelled, coming into the hallway. Dwayne unlocked the top and bottom locks and stepped halfway out of the apartment, turning towards Al as his grandfather approached. "Grandma Maddie would be at my graduation if you didn't make her have all them bad headaches that made her die," Dwayne said and gave off a hiss. Psst. Dwayne pulled the door shut and ran nonstop to the first floor. He jumped from the top step in front of the walk-up tenement he'd known all of his life. 128 West 117th Street. He picked up his cap, gown, and suit jacket from the pavement, noticing some schoolmates, different ages, some with parents, some without, and the ones who were also graduating, proudly walking with their caps and gowns. And there were a few turning the corner at 7th Avenue. "Hey!" he yelled, running off to catch her. "Hey, y'all, hold up! Wait up!" While Dwayne ran up the street to catch up with schoolmates, Al sat back down in anger at his 30-year-old dining room table while his grandson's breakfast sat on the other end of the table, stone cold in the fly buzzing June humidity. Thank y'all for listening. That is out of chapter 1 from my novel, Duppy, You Reap What'cha Sow. How to purchase the book is in the description box. And I'll be back at you again today. I'll be going live in a few hours, and I'll be reading from chapter 2 for February the 2nd. Again, for Black History Month, and happy Black History Month to all of you out there around the world. Every day is Black History 2021. For every day this month, I'm going to make some more Black history, because you'll see I do historical things to my channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video, especially if you're a voracious reader and you know other readers like you. I don't want to believe that reading books is a dying art, so that's why I'm going to be doing, for Black History Month, a chapter a day, okay? From Duppy, You Reap What'cha Sow, a novel by Ronald Haynie. Okay, that was just chapter 1 I did for February the 2nd, but I'm going to catch it up. Chapter 2 is coming up soon in a couple of hours. Until we meet again, until then, have a beautiful, blessed day and continue to stay safe. Read books. This is Ronald Haynie, author, actor, activist, and orator. Peace.